Just Me, a place to be me, where you get to experience life. 'Cause life is a journey, not a guided tour. If you want the rainbow, you have to go through the rain.
Welcome back, guys. Thank you so much for joining us and checking in with us today. We're going to continue our series on back to school. We have the elementary school kids, we have the middle school kids, we have the high school kids, and we have our college students going back to school this August season. During our first two series, we had Dr. Roseborough talking from Terrell County about different things as far as parents helping their kids with homework, as far as the importance of extracurricular activities. And today we're going to check in with our own hosts of Just Me podcast, and we're going to talk to our moms and our grandmas and our aunties about what it is for that back to school season. So, real fast, we have moms and we have grandmas and we have aunties here. Miss Shirena Smith, Miss Tracey Moore, and Miss Sasha Giles. We have all played that role of sister, grandma, mom, and we've all had different things where we've had to help family members, children, grandchildren with back to school. And so, really fast, I want to check in with y'all. What has been one of the hardest things about going back to school and getting your kids ready for that back to school season?
My name is Sharina Smith. Um,
Hey, Miss Smith.
Hi. One of the things that has been very challenging is like getting them back into a routine. So just making sure that we get back into the routine as it relates to getting up early and and staying up throughout the day and just and getting back in that routine or getting the children prepared for school. Um, the last school year was kind of challenging. So just to get that break for the summer and just reset was something that was very helpful. But now we're back in a space where we need to get back into routines. And sometimes those routines will some of the things that are incorporated in those routines is, really checking emails, making sure that we stay abreast as it relates to different events that are going on within the schools, and really encouraging the children to take responsibility as being on top of these routines and taking accountability as it relates to seeing things through based upon these new routines that are coming our way.
And when you say children, Miss Smith, what do you mean by children? Are we talking about the little kids, elementary school kids? Are we talking about the middle school kids? Are we talking about the high school kids? Who needs to be responsible?
Um, well, all kids need to be responsible based upon their level of mental and maturity. But for in my space, um, high school and college, like really getting back into the routines and making sure that I am abreast and up to date and knowledgeable as it relates to how to make sure that they are on top of their routines. So I have to stay connected to the schools that the children attend.
Okay, okay. What about you, Miss Tracy?
Yeah, my season this year, this time is a little bit different because I'm a house of empty nesters. So the only thing that affects me is my wallet because I fall in the grandmother category. So I have grandchildren that are in from the itty bitties, from one starting pre-K all the way through. Let me see, do I have anybody in college yet? No, soon to be college because I have a senior. So just to watch each household how they operate is comical to me because I know when it was my house and I had because I raised four to get them out the routines that we had and my own challenges, it looks different now. So I don't have to worry about making sure they up on time. I can sleep in. I ain't got to get up extra early to make lunches and things like that. I don't have to do homework, every night unless, I'm challenged now with the grandchildren coming back, but on a regular basis. So it just looks a little different. But I think too the greatest impact that I have is that my husband works for a college. So to see him this past weekend, colleges where the students moving in and all the hecticness of that, and knowing how when parents are dropping them off, you dropping off a college student in one attire, and then it's takeoff city. So it's kind of funny, like watching them and then seeing the parents react, the anxiety of the separation and the crying. The kids are celebrating, but the parents are crying. They probably still crying. It's like, oh, my baby is gone. So to see some of that is it's having to embrace change is difficult. You're in a routine, even if it's just for the summer. Now you have to break that and go into a whole nother routine. Having to do that is going to take a new discipline. So it's anything now. It's just good to look at from my vantage point now, but my pockets are getting a little empty because each child wants a certain thing, and again, the different schools that are requiring stuff. Some families don't have the money to get all the materials that they have. Some teachers are, we can't. What the teachers get paid and all that stuff is a whole nother episode. But I'm just trying to help them financially for me now is like, and making sure I position myself so it's not a burden on me, and I can help them in those weird areas.
And that's interested, Miss Tracy, as it relates to you expressing your role regarding being a grandparent, but also being a financial contributor as it relates to helping your grandchildren, because we see that a lot this day and time
Mhm.
due to inflation,
Mhm.
how things have went up. And that is something that as parents we should be okay with as it relates to seeking support when needed, as it
Mhm.
relates to making sure that we have the resources for our children, and knowing that it is okay to seek resources to help, because it can be very stressful with the expectations of the things that are required for the upcoming school year for the children, in conjunction with other things that parents have to pay for on a day-to-day basis. So I can say for myself, and also to our listeners, it's okay to seek help in areas needed as it relates to financial support and emotional support as we transition back
Yeah.
to school.
Yeah, because the kids have it hard in school too. Imagine, just coming from being in two different economic status, going to a public school. You have parents, that um have, and you have the haves and the have not. So if your child is going and you might not be financially able, and then you have another child that's teasing them by what they're wearing, or they didn't get their hair done. You got the same raggedy clothes, and that's a lot of pressure. And that bullying comes in, and then your child comes home, and then you wonder why you can't do your homework, and it's just these little things. So just for me in some of those areas that, like you said, there's resources out there. Some people don't like to reach out for help, but there are resources out there to help in financially, even like studying if they're not doing good in certain areas, getting tutors and things, because that verbal attack that children get, outside of the parents, still trying to be strong, and kids want and parents want them to have, and sometimes can't provide. And I don't have to contribute, but I want to. It's not a real big expectation, or we know she's going to get it. But I'm glad I'm able to do what I do. But it is okay to tell a child no, and help them understand your circumstances, opposed to really putting yourself out there, and then again the lights get cut off, but your child got $300 sneakers on just so to keep up with the Joneses. It's a whole lot.
Mhm.
Um, so don't just let that just be mindful of just some of the pressures that they are exposed to when it comes back to you. And then when you handle it, to make sure you communicating with your child so they know the role that you're playing. Some things that you might can do now, some things you might have to wait, and they have a better understanding. So when it comes to them, they know how to respond when somebody says, well, that's why you don't have a new pair of sneakers, or something like that.
And I think that, so talk a little bit about having those crucial conversations with kids, because sometimes we just don't have it.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And if anything, having conversations, especially with your high school students and your middle school students, because as I work with teenagers in middle school, 8th grade, 7th grade, who are very drawn in by the name brand things, and it may be to the extent where the parents don't have it. And having those financial literacy conversations, instead of saying, or instead of trying for the parents or the grandparents to break their back, working in order to get this, maybe it needs to be, the conversation needs to look a little different. Hey, this is where we're able to get at the beginning of the school year, and you need to take care of it, what that sounds like, what that looks like, because this is what the bills are breaking down to looking like. And we need to be good stewards of our money right now. And
Right.
that's not a conversation that you don't have to have. You don't have to put the responsibility of having the child feeling like they have to go out and get a job. But this is a way of starting that financial literacy and starting that generational wealth concept at a young age, but at an age appropriate conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's even I have now one of my grandchildren is a teenager and is working. So I know the conversation that she had with her mom was, what you work this summer, you're able to get certain things with your money for the summer for school, because this is my job. I have to do that. So now that you're working, at least whether it's you pay for your sneakers. I'm gonna buy these sneakers, but if you want those sneakers, you pay that extra amount, or at least get your hygiene stuff. At least you buy your jeans and I buy this or something. And again, you're able to have those conversations or keep that dialogue open. But if you just let them work and then spend their money, just say they just buying all the video games all summer long or something. But if that's that agreement that you have, that's fine. But then when it comes down for school or activities, not just the school clothes, if they're involved in an activity like basketball or something, there's expenses that come with those things as well. So money at this time is a factor when it comes to school, getting the supplies, getting books. I know our community, there are a lot of agencies that churches are having back to school giveaways where they're giving away book bags, school supplies. So if you need those things, if that alters the cost, so you can use that money for other things. You can go and get those things so you don't have to spend your money on it if you're lacking in those areas like that too. So it's a lot of places within communities that are giving out, at least like the school supplies. Some of the barbershops are giving free haircuts. So there's a lot of things that are out there. So if it's finance is an issue, just see what your community has available. Just start asking or seeking some of those things.
And I like something that Tracy said, because my son, he worked 2 jobs this summer. So because of that, it has helped us as a family work together more as it relates to, listening to him, but all of us working together as it relates to, you know, getting things for school. And, and now when they're utilizing their own money, they look at things different.
Yeah.
So I would say a something that can be a challenge, but also can be a positive, is that you're making sure that you have conversations with your children, like you're very transparent with your children and use it as a working relationship.
Mhm.
Because if they like my children, they think you rich. They think you just got it. They don't know you have to work. They don't know that FICA is real. They don't know that that inflation went up. They don't know that. They just know when I ask, I always get sneakers. When I ask, I always get clothes. When I ask, it's always there.
And that's
So,
where that learning comes in, at
right.
if they're asking and they're constantly getting, then
Mhm.
there's no idea and concept around, hey, there's some stuff in life that I have to work towards.
Mhm.
And then when you become an adult in college, and when you really have to budget, and it's either between eating at the cafeteria or figuring out what to do with these ramen noodles in it with
Yeah.
the microwave in the dorm room, then that's where life can get a little more stressful, because some of these things, these decisions, were not made or
Yeah.
encouraged to be made when they were younger, as age appropriate.
Yeah, this breed is different, and it's not just the child. So if I'm a parent and all I am is about the my name brand, and that's all my child know is that, then I can't settle for less. So I'm not gonna put things less on my child because it's not a designer type thing and things like that. So it just affects. I've watched a child. He probably was 6 or 7. Say he was at 7 years old, and he had some nice new sneakers on, and he wanted to play so bad. And his father would tell him, "Don't get your sneakers dirty." And he was getting in trouble because his white sneakers was getting dirty. But he wanted to play. He was a 7-year-old kid, and he had to stand there and watch everybody else play because he couldn't get his sneakers dirty. But he was cool. He walked around with his chest poked out like this because he looked good because he was all in designer clothes. But he wanted to be a child and couldn't play. He had to watch, and he had to suck it up because his dad told him, "You better not cry."
Mm. And to that, I say both concepts can exist,
Mhm.
because this 7-year-old can still be a child and play on the swings, play in the mulch at the park, slide down the slide, kick dirt, play in the mud, but also be that child that is respectful of their clothes and appreciate what they have. It just means you might have to teach that child how to switch out their clothes.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so, with that concept, you're instilling something even greater:
Okay.
respect for the things that you have,
Mhm.
appreciation for the things that you have.
They have.
So,
Right.
yes, two things can exist. The child can be a child and enjoy themselves and
Mhm.
play and run and shoot basketball and throw mud and all that good stuff. But they can also be like, hey, I got to go change my clothes real fast so
Mhm.
I can wear my play clothes. Two things
Okay.
can exist. I
Mhm.
have a quick question for you guys, for Miss Tracey. What about grandparents who are raising their grandchildren on a full-time basis, and it's back to school season, and they still want to be grandparents, but they also have to play that role as the parent of creating routine, creating homework structure? What advice would you give to grandparents in that situation?
Just me would say, don't take them in the beginning because you already done had yours. That's just me because I'm in the position where I could be raising up some grandchildren, but then it's an expectation. Sometimes it's like I had them, but mommy gonna take care of them. So it all depends on what you establish in that household. But if I had to raise any of my grandchildren within my household, I have a whole set of different rules.
Mm.
So when you come to my house, for one thing, you're coming from a set of rules and you're visiting another set. And you mind my set of rules, but then when you leave my set of rules, you go to another set and you're able to do what you want. So if you're coming in, the first thing we're going to establish some rules how we operate within this home. So we communicate. So when it comes to whatever the school brings, and again when it comes to school itself, how I prepare would be no different than when I had my own children and I had to prepare them when the school season come. I was never a last minute shopper or planner. So school supplies right now, they already have their stuff. It's not, I don't have to go out for no school sale or anything like that because I always planned ahead. I look for sales during the summer. In the wintertime, I bought summer clothes. In the summertime, I buy winter clothes. So I already know your size. And maybe the last thing I got to worry about is the shoes. So if you're a teenager, if you're working, if you're in my house, yes. If you work, some of that work, that money that you earn is going to be for the things that you want. I do the back to school hair
Mhm.
styles, but they
Mhm.
have a limit to you can want whatever you want, but as long as it's within my price range. So within my house, I have to establish a set of rules for those grandchildren. So mind you, I have a lot. I got like 13. So depending on that group, it's a different set of rules that they will have. But as far as me as getting them ready and prepared, you got a time for study, you got a time for TV. It's a structure that's in there. Homework, study, all of that, because how I put education to the forefront is just, and that's what we do. When I
In
say
your
we do
household.
within my household,
Mhm.
but and even in raising my children, how I look back now, if I had to raise another set, I would do some tweaking, not
What would you
much.
tweak?
That communication, I would definitely listen more
Mm.
to what they're saying. I always heard what they said, but I didn't listen all the time. You could talk to me so I can hear you, but I've already made a decision. But if I listen to you, it's a possibility that my decision can change based on me listening to exactly what it is that you need. Because
And you
I've
haven't
made
lost anything.
Right, I hadn't lost anything. I've made a decision based on everything else, but now you're giving me some more insight. And yep, I can see how if am not going to lose anything, that I can make that. But if I have no communication with my child, then that's something I got to work, because we're going to butt heads the entire thing. And I was fortunate, I was blessed to never have to make the Maury show. Put it like that. We've had challenges. We've had challenges. Don't get me wrong. And it's not all been beautiful. But when I watch things like that, I always thank God that I did not make an episode. But if I did, I would hope I would be the one that come back on a Look at Them Now story to
Mm.
show like this is does not always have to be my present or this is not my old.
Okay, okay. So sounds like that one thing that you would change within either if you had grandkids in your house and you were raising them, or if you had kids back in your house and you were raising them, you would listen for understanding, and that may sway some of the decisions that are being made. But I think it also allows the child to understand that their input is valuable. Your decision may not change, but how you are listening to your child and how you're showing up for your child makes a world of a difference for the information they're going to bring back to you as they grow up and go through other trials and tribulations in their life. So, okay.
And I think that's one thing too, just especially with this career path, that child, when they need to speak as an adult, they're not going to know how to do it. So used
Correct.
to when an authority figure comes in front of them and they really have something to say, they're going to remember my mom and my dad was the authority. Whenever I tried to say something, I had to come back. And I'm not going to say, and they tell me, do what I say. Like, but do what I say, do what I say. So, that's why I say I would do it different. And again, especially now in the time that I grew up and the time now, child abduction and things like that, it was not like it is like now. So now for the safety of the child, you got to listen. You have to listen for understanding. You got to look for the nonverbal. Even in school, we send them, but are some of them teachers or the bus driver, the people on the bus, how was your day? Did anybody say anything that made you feel a certain kind of way? Did anybody approach you or touch you that you wasn't in agreement to, but you did it anyway? Have those conversations, and then you don't have to worry about the Me Too, things like that and happening, because they'll tell you in a minute, don't tell nobody. And you be like, okay, because this will happen. You ask those questions. Did anybody say don't tell nobody? Because this is going to happen. Have those red flags to be like, you can agree, but you just know when you get to somebody that you feel safe with, you need to share it just for their
Good,
sake.
good tips, good tips. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you do want to hear more insights, parental tips, and get a close feel for the Ladies of Just Me podcast, we definitely will be having a back to school Family Matters event. It is going to be next week, August 29th, from 6:15 to 7:30. And we're going to allow you guys the opportunity to talk to all of us and ask questions about your children as far as back to school, get some valuable parenting tips, get some takeaways. We'll have definitely have some door prizes. The location is at 3018 Westgate City Boulevard in Greensboro, North Carolina, 27403. Again, family matters, mental health questions, asking the experts. It's going to be Thursday, August 29th from 6:15 to 7:30. There'll be refreshments, there'll be door prizes, giveaways, gift cards, and best of all, it's free. So,
Oh, that's the best word during this time. Free, free,
yes.
free, free, free.
Yes, yes. So come hear us, check us out at 3018 Westgate City Boulevard in Greensboro, North Carolina. And until next time, take care of yourself so that we can all take care of each other, guys. Peace.
Thank you so much for listening to Just Me Therapy podcast. If you are seeking further one-on-one diagnoses, interventions, and treatment plans, please consider scheduling an appointment with an individual counselor at Journeys Counseling Center, located in Greensboro, North Carolina. Journeys can be reached at 336-294-1349. The mission of Just Me Therapy podcast is to use authentic conversations to uplift one's mind, body, and soul. The goal of Just Me Therapy is to offer affordable education and insight to individuals who experience financial barriers to accessing individualized behavioral health care services. With that being said, the information, including opinions, advice, and recommendations discussed in this podcast, are intended for individual, informational, and educational purposes only. Such information is not intended to substitute the recommendations of your own licensed therapist or healthcare professional. Although we are licensed behavioral health professionals, we are not your licensed behavioral health professional. As a result, the advice mentioned on this podcast should not replace the recommendations offered by your own qualified health professional.